episode of the Happiness Project, and thank you for tuning in. As you all know, my podcast is now listed on 8 plus platforms, including Apple, Spotify, and Google. And with the staunch support from you guys, my podcast has now reached to more than 50 countries. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Please keep sharing your learnings and experiences of how my podcast has transformed your life in every little way possible. Firstly, I hope everyone is safe and healthy. I promise you, we are all going to get through this. Moving on to the episode today, I want you to reflect on this quote by John Allen Paulos, which says that uncertainty is the only certainty there is, and knowing how to live with insecurity is the only security. I'm sure this quote is going to be relatable for each one of us, considering the current situation that we all are going through right now. In the times of isolation and quarantines, many of us are going ridiculously insane, simply finding it difficult to accept the radical change taking place in all of our lives. From a business person to an economist, life has been upended. Changes have taken place from trivial subjects wherein a hello has transformed into Namastey or tapping elbows to greet each other, to substantial matters where there's a decline in the stock market. And along the way, anxiety has increased to another level where people are feeling insecure and overwhelmed. This virus has reminded us all that the world is not as controllable as it appears to be. There are some risks that cannot be minimized by any kind of influence. Well, we are all going through a tough time. However, this one thing that I'm learning every day is that there's always something ascending and positive to experience in every situation that occurs abruptly. You might yet be wondering whether what am I saying? When the entire world is falling apart, how are we expected to look at the positive possibility of it all? I choose to look at this period as a phase of transformation. Transformation at a global level. Change is about to occur. It is making us all uncomfortable, desperate, and despairing. It's said that it's going to get worse before it gets better, and it will get better. You know, even before change occurs, we get so apprehensive that it does not allow us to live the present moment mindfully. We tend to resist change, although we are aware of the possible consequences. Because we follow the status quo, meaning we follow the same path we always have that gratifies us for a tremendous period of time. There is a whole lot of emotions running wild within all of us, and predominantly, when change transpires, our brain requires to put in a lot of effort to think. So we instead react out of instinct or habit. Two reasons why we primarily find change challenging is because number one, we are petrified for we are moving towards an uncertain future we are not equipped for. And number two, we feel miserable as we are leaving something behind and we believe that we will never find something like this ever again. We are afraid because we are so comfortable in this space, and of course, getting into the uncomfort zone is not easy. Since we are learning why change is so difficult, it's time we also learn to accept that how much ever we may want to keep things constant, change is the only thing that is constant. In my personal experience, what I have realized is that change becomes attainable when we have an undeniable reason to do, rather than looking for something extrinsic to get motivated. Change becomes easy when there is something deeper driving us to do so. So it is absolutely okay to take a few weeks to sink into the emotional kinks of ourselves and knowing that this phase is all about understanding why it happened and what now. Don't dwell too much into the fact that it happened. It is okay to be in that space for some time, but not stay there forever. Know that this is the time where you are getting an opportunity to experience a more peaceful pace of life. We are all moving on to better opportunities. And the most significant thing here is to accept that change has already taken place. When we have some sort of clarity, we allow our mind to stay open to different possibilities that life has to offer us. We become cynical about the entire process of change and we feel out of control and get stressed out, especially because we find change so difficult to experience. But trust me, there's always something positive to look at, especially when change occurs. So, number one, let us take change as a learning opportunity. Everything happens for a reason. So, this is a good enough reason for us to take it as a learning opportunity. This is the phase for us to explore various ideas. Ask yourself, what knowledge can you assemble from what is happening to you right now? How do you feel from within? How does your body feel? What are your emotions telling you? Explore your strengths and passion and consume this time into developing your strengths. A technique called a state of flow, one of the most mindful practices, it means for you to be in a zone where you entirely immerse yourself into performing an activity that you're passionate about. It generates happiness hormones, the sense of satisfaction, and a feeling of energized focus with complete involvement. Number two, get confident about your coping and adapting skills. This isn't the same as expect the worst. It's more about assuring yourself that you can handle any difficulty that might come. In one of the books by Julie Norum, The Positive Power of Negative Thinking, she discusses a concept called defensive pessimism. What it means is that you consider the worst that can happen so that you can plan how you would handle it. And this has actually shown to help people manage anxiety. So ask yourself, what is the worst that can happen? Number three, focus on what you can control. I have always believed that there is very little control that all of us have in certain situations. And right now, this situation that all of us are going through is teaching us all to be patient, to have faith in the power that is above us all, and more importantly, letting go. Letting go of whatever that is holding you back, because it's time we realize that life is much more than pondering too much into one thought. Only when you realize the emotional baggage will you unleash your potential. The moment you realize that you have the proficiency, the moment you realize that you have the proficiency and the competence, the moment you realize that you have the proficiency to grow beyond your own limits, nothing will stop you. This is the time to focus on all the things that you can control. Number 4. Develop a growth mindset. Mostly reflect on previous changes that took place in your life. One of the characteristics of an individual with a growth mindset is to take on new challenges without any hesitancy because they are sure that they will at least move a step further rather than being in the same place forever. One thing we need to identify here is that we have a choice. A choice that will either hold us back and a choice that will either hold us back and won't let us achieve our full potential, or a choice which will allow us to stretch ourselves, expand our abilities, bounce back from setbacks, and develop the mindset that change is the indispensable ingredient of the recipe and develop the mindset that change is the indispensable ingredient that change is the in and develop the mindset that change is the indispensable ingredient in the recipe of life, and that adapting to it is our greatest asset. And number 5, practice mindfulness. When you obsess about a tomorrow you can't control, you are too busy judging what hasn't happened yet to fully experience what's happening right now. Instead of noticing and appreciating the beauty in the moment, you get trapped in a fear-driven thought cycle about the potential of discomfort down the line. While meditating is the best way to become more mindful, it is not the only approach. Sometimes it helps me to take an inventory on what's good in today. So I can't yet plan for tomorrow, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. That means I can spend today doing other things like reading, writing, relaxing in the sun, or connecting to people I love. So before I end this episode today, I want you to again reflect on a couple of things that I'm going to say right now. Does it really take cancelled plans, closed offices, isolation, lockdown, and online school for us all to realize that we are too busy? Let's cherish the opportunity to stay home out of the rat race, get more sleep, read some more books, spend time with your family, take advantage of everyone having the same schedule, connect to your friends and cousins. This may take some adjustment and grace. Our normal family schedules are so chaotic that we are rarely home at the same time except to sleep. So, whether it's cleaning closets, scanning photographs, painting a room, cooking, working out, watching shows on Netflix, or doing household repairs, you probably have a lot of jobs around your house that need your attention. Use this time to catch up on things you need to do but never have time to do. You will never ever get time for things that matter the most, but now you have that time. So why not make the most of it? If you can, plan your work around your day instead of your day around your work. Doing simple things you normally don't have time for can and will reveal how stressed out and off balance your non-virus life is. Prioritize doing things you love and begin enjoying a slower life. Also remember, if you ever think you have created a controllable, predictable life for yourself, you can rest assured that's an illusion. Nothing stays the same forever. The uncertainty can keep you up at night, obsessing over ways to protect yourself from anything that might go wrong. Or it can motivate you to practice acceptance, live in the moment, and embrace the adventure of living. What's coming tomorrow might not be easy, or it might fulfill you in ways you didn't know to imagine. What's certain is that it will come, and when it gets there, you will respond to it, learn from it, and move into another tomorrow full of endless possibilities. Today, I am focusing on my possibilities, not my fear, and suddenly I feel a lot better. Thank you for joining me this week on the Happiness Project. Stay tuned and make sure you never miss a single episode of the show by clicking the subscribe button now. This podcast is made possible by listeners like you. So thank you so much for all your support. And if you like this episode, please share it with as many people as you can. Because sometimes all it takes is one push for someone to transform their lives. Let this podcast be that push.